Thank you for tuning in to Measurement Made Easy. In this micro-learning video, we're going to address two challenges. One, how do we get people to complete surveys? What can we do to make it easier and more painless to get good data out of surveys? That's our first challenge. And second, how do we make sure that we give good, valuable feedback to the participants that take our surveys in the first place? That's what we're up to. I hope you found yourself in the right place because we're going to help you create better team assessments. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Caitlin and Stacey, both program leaders at GRIST Consulting in Australia. They have generously contributed a case study that will help us all get better at making surveys. Here we go.
Thanks, Alaina, and thanks for having us. It's very exciting to be here today. So yes, I am director at GRIST. At GRIST, we're really about simplifying change and inspiring learning so organisations and people can thrive. And what we mean by that is we are sort of change management, but at our heart, our passion really is learning and development. And how do you use learning and development to really drive change and drive performance in organisations? So that's sort of in a nutshell about what we do. We do a lot of leadership training, a lot of sales and service, and we also have a behavioural analytics arm where we really dig into behavioural change and how people demonstrate it and what we can do to improve it. So I'm a director at GRIST, as you said, and I also look after our design side and a behavioural analytics side, the data side of our business.
I am currently an insights manager at GRIST, but I started in Caitlin's team as a behavioral analyst a few years ago. And I guess it's my passion for understanding human behavior that drove me to GRIST. And they had a very unique position that I could apply for and then stayed because all of the work that I'm doing, and it's never the same, like every day is different, but it's all connected to getting the data, to understanding the leaders, what they do, and also using the data to help them improve and therefore drive the change better.
Now that you've learned more about GRIST Consulting and you've met Caitlin and Stacey, it's time to frame the challenge. What exactly are we up to in this episode and how is it going to help you?
So we had just started putting together what we're calling our FFQ survey. It's a focus, frequency, quality, or we're also calling it our change readiness survey. It's a survey that goes out to leaders, predominantly frontline leaders or leaders of leaders, and we're talking about people leaders here that it would go to. And it was a way of doing a self-assessment that gives them some indication of the areas that they could improve if they're really looking at driving behavioural change with their teams and with their people. Now, we were looking at this as a self-assessment rather than a 360 or a 180 because we've found some barriers with doing those 360s and 180s in our clients, and we want to give them an alternative of how to do that as a self-assessment that's still really valuable for the participant to get some data out of it to see what they could actually do differently to drive behavioural change.
Like every one of our episodes, there is a stepwise process to make it easier for you to create great team assessments. Let's dive into the first step. It's super important to get essentially the what's in it for me. How do we frame the benefits? So I really, even though that's kind of our second and third challenge, I believe it's the right one to start with because, again, those correlate with getting the what's in it for me, what's in it for the organization really clear. And then that will help us to tell a powerful story to help with the collection of data. So my question for you is, what's your current plan or vision? Maybe there's no plan, but there's just a really great idea around what you're going to do with the data from the survey.
This survey has been born out of our work with organisations to see what's worked. Yeah. And I think the big, in my mind, the what's in it for me and the so what for the leader is like they get a lot of feedback on different things and performance measures they need to change and things they should be doing. They know they should be doing the learning and development, but it often feels like Stacey said, it's overwhelming and it's too much. And there's kind of a reticence when you do surveys like this, I think, particularly when you're looking around capability, that leaders have in the back of their mind, it's something else I have to do, something extra. Yeah. And what we're trying to retarget with this or give them insight into is actually what you're doing. You can simplify what you're doing, what you're already doing, and do it a little bit better by just actually making a few tweaks. So it's not about adding extra things in. It's about being more efficient and effective about the activities that you're doing.
I'm writing down some notes. This will be our plan to implement that. The first step is telling a really powerful story for why to take the survey. And so working backwards, you're obviously going to give them a plan The plan is based on the delta, the difference between best practices and where they're currently performing and what their behaviors currently are as a leadership team. And I think the high level and what we're talking about here is the impact, that so what question. And if you're telling the impact story, there's two pieces. And Stacey, you got the first one absolutely right about the pain point. And you described that as being overwhelmed, a lack of clarity, or maybe even frustration, burnout because of being caught in that swirl of constant change. What I would also love to see, and this could be part of the process as you continue to work on this survey and telling that impact story, is the opportunity. And that probably exists in research. It's like, okay, implementing this plan led to this opportunity for these three organizations. And so I'd love to know, what's that clear opportunity for how the pain point was solved, with anecdotal stories, numbers, if we can. An example would, anyone who's considering taking any action probably has a better chance of taking that action if they have a clear what's in it for me. Doing a survey is absolutely no different. So now that we know what's in it for the survey participant, this is the next fun part. What can we do to increase the chances that somebody is actually going to complete the survey? Great. They know what's in it for them. Now what? What do we do? Tune into this next clip. There's another challenge with getting people to take the survey. We talked about survey fatigue, and we talked about people just hate surveys. And so they might really be bought into the story of why, but I think there's also a logistical thing that we can talk about. How do we make it as painless as possible for people to complete the survey? Because one challenge you have, and that this is a team survey, is that you need to have the majority of the people take the survey around the same time, such that you don't have water cooler talk, right? Where people are like, hey, I got this result. What did you, right? Or people are waiting for their results for so long because so-and-so was on vacation. And so how do we logistically make it painless to collect the data? And this, I'll share ideas, but I think it's a question that you'll want to continue pondering. The first thing that comes to mind for me is to have a timeline or instituting the survey when there's already like a big team meeting, where if you're doing some sort of learning and development project with them, that GRIST is introduced, the story is told at a team meeting, or maybe it's an all company-wide meeting, or maybe it's multiple departments, they all meet around the same time. So just kind of building it in with live context, so that it's not just an email that gets sent out like, here's this thing, which is oftentimes in a hurry, what we're guilty of doing, but actually building it into a live sort of either virtual or in-person time when everyone comes together. And maybe that pushes out when you collect the data, but that way you'll probably get 80% of people doing it. And you could even suggest to the client that they give people time to do it in the meeting, not just do it later, but like, hey, we're going to sit here and turn some music on. This will take 5 minutes. And oh, by the way, maybe there's a couple questions that you can give them instant, like a report with instant feedback that maybe is something that they use as part of a conversation. I don't know, you could be creative, but I highly recommend just building it into a conference, a gathering, a something where everybody's already there, and just have them do it as live versus, and then send, of course, emails to those that weren't there and give a deadline. But how does that resonate with you?
It's interesting to say that, Alaina, because we did actually recently incorporate with one of our clients in a learning program exactly that. So bringing in some little QR codes where they did a really short 3 to 4 question survey in the moment. And I was really amazed, because I was in the room watching one of the groups in that, really amazed at how many people just quickly just logged on and did it immediately. It wasn't even an issue. Whereas you know that if you send those email links, the hit rate is so low. But in the moment and in the context, and when they were bought into the moment because they were in the session already, they were quite engaged with that, and getting back that tiny little bit of data at the end of what they'd answered really just made a massive difference. So, 100% agree that would be a really nice way to go. With this survey.
Yeah. All right. So the last part of creating an amazing team assessment and overall increasing your skills as a survey creator, we have to make sure we have the right tools. There are no one size fits all tool. There's not one tool that rises above the rest, but you do have a lot of options, and you want to pair the survey you're trying to create with the tool that's best for that survey. Tune into this last clip from Caitlin and Stacey as we hear what tools they're considering to use and why. And then the other challenge that we talked about was giving them some steps to improve. And it sounds like you've already got a sense from your own work of what's a general best practice. The one challenge will be just making sure that your survey tool, and maybe this is no issue because you've done this before, but for anyone who's listening, making sure that you can give categorical and personalized feedback. Not all survey tools are created equal. Some tools make that really difficult, and some tools, it's really intuitive, and the personalization that you get based on scores. Again, some tools are awesome and some tools are not. Do you guys have one that you feel pretty confident with? Most survey tools, you have the ability to create reports on the back end. And like, for example, Jotform is one of my favorite tools. You can create a PDF using whatever data comes back from whatever questions that you want. And then as the data comes in, it automatically feeds and you have those reports just boom in a PDF, electronic PDF that you can just screen share and talk about. So maybe just flagging 2-3 questions that you want to give your client and then give them some talking points or something like that to make it really painless, to share here's some cool data and a couple questions to facilitate discussion or something like that. As we come to the end of this case study, let's just quickly summarize. What were the steps in the process of getting our participants to complete surveys and making sure that we're giving them really valuable insights in return? So step number 1, make it really clear and share that context with any potential participant, what's in it for them. Making sure that we pair their pain points, where are their problems, what are the things they're looking for, and what they're going to get by completing the survey. You'll have a much better chance of getting good data. And then secondly, we want to make sure that we give ourselves the best chance of getting high completion rates by doing it at a time when people are already gathering. It's the small, simple thing that we can do to increase our chances. While maybe sending an email to people is easier, we actually get much better response rates when we tie the survey into a team meeting, an all-staff meeting, a workshop, or a retreat. Any time and place where people are already gathering, add another 5 minutes to the schedule and have them complete the survey. And even better, build a conversation around some of the data that you can get immediately in return. And then lastly, pick the tools that work the best for your needs. In this context, we want to make sure that we can see a report in real time of what people are saying in response to your survey, because that allows you to have really nice conversations to give some immediate feedback to respondents. That makes them feel good. It makes it a true win-win. Another important feature might for you be to create PDF reports out of those surveys that give people immediate information with some personalized feedback, maybe some charts and graphs, whatever is relevant to your situation. Not all survey tools make it easy or possible even to send a personalized PDF report. Or maybe you just want the tool to plug in and integrate with your existing systems. Whatever that is for you, make it clear what those features are that you're looking for and find the right tool that fits your needs. Well, that's it for today's case study. I hope you feel more confident that you can tackle and take on your next survey and get better results and give better feedback to your participants. See you soon.